Welcome to Confessions of a Small Biz Mama, episode 24. Why you, your kids, and your business need a schedule. You know, it's funny, one of the things that I get a lot of pushback on when talking to small biz mamas is having a schedule. You know, I think a lot of people left the corporate world or the retail world in order to be a little bit freer, to not have that schedule, to not feel like, the grind. But I think that it is incredibly important to put some structure in your lives. Now, it's really funny because the last two episodes, I've talked about putting structure in place in a smaller context, right? So when I was talking about creating boundaries with your clients, I talked about building in some structure. When I talked about, breadwinner guilt, we talked about the need, for having some structure. And so it's really interesting, when my executive assistant and I kind of go through and we come up with topics for the show, we batch them, right? And it's kind of interesting to kind of sit there and say, as the episodes kind of form out and we do the research, how much they link together, right? So it's kind of cool that we actually decided to do this one last in this rotation, because it ended up making sense. So it's pretty cool. So just follow along with me here. Okay. If you're listening to the episode, you're at least kind of a little bit curious about the schedule or anything. You just, maybe you just think I'm amusing. I don't know. But that's okay too. Why are schedules important? So first of all, let's talk about kids. Kids thrive in structured environments. It makes them feel safe. It makes them feel comfortable. Kids like predictability. If you want, your kid to be, more well-adjusted, have them have a routine. Because kids like order. I know I'm a big fan of the Montessori method and Maria Montessori, and kids go through a stage actually very early in their lives where they crave order and they want to know that there is order in their lives. And you might be thinking, well, that's crazy because my little kid dumps things all over the place. But it was funny to watch Eric would like to dump things out to pick them up and create order with them. I would often see him put his cars, line them up in a particular way. Because it was funny because I often saw that in times where things were kind of chaotic around here or when his schedule changed. So when the shutdown first started with COVID, he was very much into arranging his cars, arranging his things, arranging his animals to kind of create some order. And this was a time when, we used to go to the library once a week and that stopped. His music class was not meeting in person anymore. We were trying to figure out how we were going to do music class. And so he had a lot of things that changed in his routine. And so he sought order in other ways, right? So it's really interesting how kids react to things like that. But the more of a routine that you can set up with your kids, the safer they will feel, the fewer behavioral problems you'll have. It's really critically important. And I think, people have kind of embraced this for children who are, who are not neurotypical. And for some reason, we know that it's good for them, but we don't acknowledge that it's good for all children to have this. And so I would really encourage you to think about how you can put a schedule in place, especially if you think that your kids are going to be home, or if you think that, kind of the pandemic is going to impact your schedule. Let's see how we can put some structure in place for your kids. Okay. So, how do you do this? Like, how do you put structure in place? So what I did for my schedule, is, remember, so Jeff is home, I'm home, Eric's home, everybody's home, in our house. So you kind of have to look and say, okay, so what are the immovable parameters that you have in your life? So you might have, that your kid has to go off to school at a certain time, right? That is an immovable parameter. It may be that your spouse, goes to work at a certain time. Immovable parameters. So the first thing I do is I look at the things that impact our schedule that I don't have a lot of control over. And in our home, that's very little. Essentially what that looked like usually in our lives, before COVID was, the library toddler play session was, Mondays at 10 o'clock. His music class was Saturday morning at 9:45. Those are kind of the immovable things that, that we took part in, that we didn't have control over the schedule. Now we pretty much have control over our entire schedule. Now, once we kind of took the immovable things, then we said, okay, so now let's look at Eric's preferences. What does his natural routine look like? Because a lot of kids, if you just kind of let them go, have a natural routine. So, so the way Eric's looks is Eric wakes up sometime. We don't wake him up, because we have nowhere to be, right? So I don't see the point. Eric typically wakes up on his own sometime between 5:45 and 6:45 in the morning. Okay. And that's typically when, Jeff and I normally wake up at 6. I get ready, he gets ready. And so what we do, is that like first hour in the morning is typically like, okay, so whoever's not in the shower gets Eric. And Eric will hang out in our room in the morning if he wakes up. And then we all go downstairs. If Eric sleeps to the point that we're both downstairs, then when Eric wakes up, we bring him downstairs. We have breakfast together, and then he will play with his dad and hang out with his dad, help his dad do chores, until about 11 o'clock. And then at 11 o'clock, they have lunch. Then after lunch, he and I will read books, and he will take a nap most days. Not always, but most days. So he will sleep until most days between 2:30 and 3 o'clock. So that gives me time to work in the afternoons. We typically eat dinner about 5. And then we start bedtime routine at 6:30. That is his natural schedule. So if I sit there and I say, okay, so this is what Eric's schedule looks like, Um, and this is, he functions really, really well under the schedule. Sometimes there's a snack in the morning if he's hungry. Sometimes there's a snack in the afternoon. It just kind of depends on how he eats the rest of his meals. But that, usually works really well. Now it's funny because like right now, I'm recording this. It is 10:49 in the morning, and Eric is starting to get grumpy. I can hear him downstairs. And that's part of it's because he's getting hungry and he's getting tired, right? Natural schedule. So once I have, once we know his normal schedule, then Jeff and I can kind of plug in and say, okay, well, right now with the season that I'm in, I need more time to work, right? So I work in the morning, and then I come downstairs, and this is kind of fluid. It changes, but right now I'm going to, I'll go downstairs after I finish recording this episode. If Eric is done with lunch, we'll come back upstairs. We'll read some books. I'll put him down. He likes to be burritoed. I burrito him for his nap. And then I'll, have some lunch and go back to work. So by using his natural schedule to dictate my schedule, right? We have a happier kid, we have a happier house, and life is good. Now you might be thinking, well, I don't want to, we need to make his schedule fit our schedules. We've tried to do that. But I think, being self-employed, we haven't had to do that. And so if we can work with his natural rhythms, then, and it works for our schedule, then that's what we're going to do. And don't get me wrong, there are days that Jeff has appointments at the VA or something that kind of disrupts the schedule, and it happens, and we go with it. There are days that we eat dinner a little bit later, or, we might go out for a drive or whatever it is that kind of, disrupts the schedule a little bit. It happens. It's okay. It's going to be fine. But if you generally try to keep on, a schedule, then it's going to make things a lot easier. So then what I do is I say, okay, so I know that, what I've been trying to do to get more time, because I was saying in the last episode I needed more time. So what I've tried to do is Jeff and I kind of swapped our shower. So I shower first because it takes me a little bit longer to get ready. What that allows me to do is that allows me to get upstairs by 7:30. I'll do my startup ritual, which I've talked about with you guys before. And then this morning I went for a walk, which was awesome because it totally rejuvenated me before it was time for me to start recording. So it also gave me more time to work this morning. So, the thing that you have to do, I think it's critically important when you're putting together your schedule, though, is that you have to kind of be flexible, and you have to say, okay, what's working, what's not working, how can we adjust, how can we pivot? And, as I said, in the last episode, it's really important to have, your home time and your work time and separate those two. So what I do is, I've got my morning block, right? And my morning block is my really important stuff that has to get done, because I don't know if I'm going to get my afternoon block. If Eric doesn't take a nap, that block gets canceled. So it's really important for me to make sure I schedule the important things in the morning. And then when 3 o'clock hits, I'm in mom mode. And I think it's just incredibly important for me to make that switch, right? So at 3 o'clock, I go into mom mode. And usually from 3 to 4, Eric and I just we hang out, we play, we do puzzles, like sometimes he just wants to like jump on our bed. And I but that's kind of our really fun time, to hang out and play, just Eric and mom. And so, by focusing all my energy on him, right, we get to have like those really special moments. I'm not on my phone. I'm not doing email. I'm not trying to catch up with Slack or Box or whatever. I'm just mom, and I'm hanging out and I'm laughing with my kid. And it's really funny because I think if you listen to the last episode, if you're dealing with breadwinner guilt or working mom guilt or whatever you want to call it, those moments make it just melt away. Having those moments with him just really, really helps. And I can only do that because I have the schedule in place, right? To say, okay, I've gotten done what I need to get done in that period of time, right? And so I know that now it's okay for me to be mom. It's okay for me to stop being CEO and be mom. And that's what my schedule allows me to do. So, and really it's just as simple. It's honestly just as simple as using your Google Calendar and saying, okay, let me put, all of Eric's stuff in my calendar for the day. And then what time is left, right? So when is Eric going to nap today? What can I get done in that time? If that's the only time you have, or maybe the only time you have is an hour before your kids get up, or you have an hour, after they go to bed, whatever that time is, be really super intentional. Like, okay, so I have an hour before my kids wake up in the morning, and I have an hour after they go to bed. So I have 2 hours to work on my business today. What is that going to look like? What is that going to look like? What am I going to do in that time to move my business forward? But having that schedule, and it's funny because I go through periods of time where I'm like, no, I don't need all the scheduling. I'm just going to, I'm not going to fill out my schedule today. Those days are the worst. I'm super unproductive. I don't get things done. And they're not good days. So I love schedules. I love routines. It's just super helpful. And we're going to have to do an episode on routines and why routines are important too. That'll be another episode to watch for. If you want me to do an episode on that, go to askkristen.net, askkristen with 2 I's.net, and fill out the form and say you want me to do an episode on routines and why they're important. Try it. If you've never tried a schedule, give it a week and see how you feel after a week. I promise you will get more done. You'll feel better. You'll feel less guilt. Let's give it a shot and let me know. Go to askkristen.net, fill out the contact form, or reach out to us via social. On Facebook, we are Small Biz Mama. You can also get to us by going to our website, smallbizmama.com, and you can get to all of our social that way as well. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for subscribing. I want to thank you for reaching out and submitting your questions. We're getting questions on the Ask Kristen form almost every day now. And don't worry, we're planning content for you. We got it. But it's super helpful to kind of know what you're struggling with and what you need help with. Mamas, I want to thank you so much for being here and for supporting the show. I love doing this show. It's a lot of fun. I love doing it for you. As I said, last episode, it's very therapeutic for me. And so thank you. for giving me this opportunity to reflect and grow along with you. Because it's important. It is. And you are important. And what you're doing on a daily basis in your business and in your life and with your family is important. So I love you, mamas. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.